Here we are. Here we are in the gravel loop today. As you can tell, you've got rain and mud. This water gets all muddy whenever there's a rain. They're doing construction upstream. I can't decide whether to call these workout of the day or call them toolbox talks, because that's kind of what they are. I did some training yesterday, and here was the story. The organization I do the training for basically calls everybody in. I give them some sort of training as required by the aerospace standard. This could be FOD, or it could be counterfeit products, or it could be, yesterday was sexual harassment. And the point is, that's a way everybody comes in, they sit down, and some of them are bored, some of them are tuned in. At the end of the day, everybody goes back out on the floor, and at least I've done my training. The most common form of training in North America, from what I understand based on the statistics, is none. Something on the order of half of the employees in the country aren't trained at all. They just show up to their work site, and whoever their supervisor is comes and checks on them at some point, and that's kind of what it is. There are different levels of this, of course. The none, that's one level. The bringing everybody in every so often and training them, that's a different level. And at the giant manufacturing places, they have some variation of the toolbox talk. And the way this works is they bring everybody in and they meet at a central location, and by everybody I mean everybody participates in their work cells. It could be 20 employees at a time or something. And then they give basically a 5-minute rundown of what's going on in the place. And then sometimes they do a little stretching and sometimes not. And sometimes they have some common message that they worry about, and then they send everybody back out onto the floor. There is a different variation of this, which is the daily. They have a daily meeting that takes a few minutes. And I've seen it actually push around an amplifier and microphone so that some central authority can give you the daily message, and it's usually some safety message or something on that order. But the point is, it tries to get everybody on the same page. I kind of like the toolbox talk idea before the shift the best. I think of everything that works the best, that's it. It's been my general experience that giving everybody one all-day training is not productive. Giving everybody a daily 5-minute training is more productive, because you can repeat the topics, you can do them one at a time, and it also gives the supervisor, lead operator, a chance to find out who showed up that day, as opposed to not showing up, which is occasionally what happens. It gets the supervisor engaged. Now, the other thing is, what I've also seen is that they actually assign the responsibility of running the meeting to one of the employees. And it's not for everybody, of course. A lot of these people are introverted and they don't want to stand up in front of a group of people and talk. They're kind of intimidated by that idea, but it doesn't have to be mandatory. It can be volunteer. And some person from the department will volunteer to do that for that day. And it actually is a broadening experience. But the other thing it does is it eliminates the top-down element of it. The place where I do the training, especially as a kind of a semi-outsider, it's a top-down approach as opposed to a teamwork and everybody's shared approach. And that, like I said, that to me kind of works the best. The dog training idea couldn't be more clear. But if you want to train a dog, you should train him a little bit every day. Him or her, whatever the dog is. And the idea is that you can work on a new trick, you can work on reinforcing current tricks, you can reward the engagement a little bit by providing some kind of reward. I don't know what reward you want to provide some factory worker. I guess the reward of giving him his pay is often, or is usually sufficient. But that's the story. The point on all this is there's more than one way to skin a cat. general idea of training in general costs money. And I did a video the other day to the effect of that the Chick-fil-A spends 4% of the annual salary of an employee on training. That's basically a 2-week training. The Mickey D's spends 1 week roughly, and actually the reality of that, it's shortened to about a half a day in some of these cases. But the point is that it requires an investment. The other thing is that that investment has a decay. That is to say, you train somebody and some length of time after that, the training starts to be ineffective. And so you have to constantly reinforce it. So the whole idea of training is an investment. But the payback of that investment is, in theory, a reduction in turnover, a reduction in screw-ups, a more engaged workforce that you can kind of have as part of a cohesive team, and it actually works for the people that do it. But it's hard to get people to do it because they look at it as an expense rather than as a investment in team cohesion. Anyway, that's about the end of the talk today. We're gonna go do some push-ups in a minute. Look at this, there's some tracks. This is possum, I think. Claws, back paws are a little bit bigger. No tail dragging through, so I don't think it's a beaver, so I'd say possum. Alright, push-up time. I'm at 93.77 and it's 8 o'clock in the morning. So go me. Let's see how many push-ups I can do today. Pretty good.